Good evening, campers, dreamers, and babysitters, and welcome to our raw reaction review for The Toxic Avenger. Yes, this movie has been a long time coming. Won't rehash all of the drama. We all know this premiered at Fantastic Fest in 2023, and it's taken that long to get here. Lots of issues with distributors, lots of issues with just the content of the movie itself. But what do you expect? It's trauma. Luke, I know you were looking forward to this one. We finally sat down and got to see it after all these years. What are your first initial thoughts and impressions for The Toxic Avenger?
Very highly anticipated. This one's eluded us a few times. We hoped we'd be able to get to see it, and now we are here. And I gotta say, it lived up to its hype. Everything that we had heard about it, the gory goodness, if you will, of the film, it absolutely delivers. The fun comedy, and you know me, horror comedy doesn't necessarily mix. Well timed, well placed. I had a real fun time.
I know. I really knew after probably the first 10, 15 minutes of this movie that I was like, oh, I hope they keep the same energy, the same focus they're doing. Because I think the thing that this movie does really well that I don't think a lot of older trauma movies, because again, they are very much shock value, B-rate horror stuff that is there to gross you out. This movie retains a lot of heart, I think, for the character of Toxie and just the world of trauma in general. As you're kind of going through this, whole universe, there's reference after reference to all these different movies, Nukem High, Poultrygeist, all these things get little nods to it. And it really feels like a real full fleshed out world for Toxie to, I guess, be birthed into once again. And I think the best part about that is like, this is kind of an origin story, almost like a superhero origin story in a lot of ways. But I love the relationship that they have with the father and son. And I think it's just a really nice way to introduce Toxie to a new audience.
Certainly, this being, you know, B horror, I guess you would say, never really on the marquee. A lot of horror fans know of it. I had only actually seen the first installment of the original Toxic Avenger, so never really dove into the other installments. So this was one that was never growing up. I was aware of Toxie, but never really watched any of the properties. It actually took me till COVID and the lockdown to kind of just dust this one off and really give it a watch. And seeing the new take on it here for 2025, the father-son relationship was something that I was excited about. It kind of gave you that connective tissue that I thought kind of harkens back to a lot of these stories that we really love, where something happens to one of the characters, and then he tries to reintegrate into his life, and it's different. It's like, oh my gosh, what happened to you? Almost this kind of hidden identity, if you will. And I love that aspect of it and what he's going through, that character arc that we see for Winston and what is exactly going on, him dealing with being Toxie now. So I really love that connective tissue that we did get. I love the heartwarmingness of some of the moments that we get with Winston. And I don't want to give all the details here, but it is certainly relevant to today in terms of insurance and what you have, what they cover, what they don't cover, and everything. So you do have that social commentary, that funness to it, as well, where they integrate the comedy, and it does feel like a fun B horror movie in all the best ways.
Yeah, this really feels like they took the idea of the Toxic Avenger and then just changed it again, bringing it to a more of a modern setting, something that's a little bit more relatable for, adults and people who are living in the world. Because like before, it was like a play on just, a kid being bullied and, getting these crazy powers and abilities after getting dunked into toxic waste, obviously. This, I like the angle because it does kind of have this kind of huge, like, here's what corporations have done to the city. It's not called Tromaville yet, but I love what they do with the sign. I'll save that for you. But it's one of those things where it's like they really lay the groundwork to show just all of the awful, gross garbage crap that the elites are doing in this universe to this just small town, and how these people are kind of just under their thumb. And I thought that was a nice, smart angle. It does make it easier to sympathize with people. And I think that, again, it is something that, even though we're there for the fun and the gore and the grossness, there is still a little bit of commentary on just a lot of what's been going on in the world and just a lot of the conversations that we're still having today. And I think that's very, very unique and fun because, again, this movie's been done for years. And the fact that it's more relevant than ever today, I'm so surprised.
Yeah, like you said, this one, it's been a couple years. It's been a long time coming to actually see this film and to see how well done it is. And I know there was a marketing issue on what you do with this film, but it absolutely delivers on so much fun of what the Toxic Avenger should be. And like you said, you look at a lot of those 80s horror films, and for better or worse, some of them aren't the best. They have that funness to it, though, that campiness that we love, and a lot of those do have that social commentary attached to it. Now, sometimes that can go overlooked because of the campiness, and then as we start dissecting here, as so many YouTubers do, and take out that social issue, and it becomes relevant. And Toxic Avenger is really prevalent. This one found a way to modernize the story, make it really relevant, but also keep the fun campiness to it. And when we talk about, the marketing for this, and it was like, show the fuck up, and how gory this is, and it's going to be unrated, it delivers in that aspect, but it also has this nice underlying story to it. And that has to do with Peter Dinklage's performance. I think he really has this really heartfelt performance in certain instances when he does the action, he does all that fun gore stuff, but when he is very serious, you can really lose yourself. Even though he's this little green guy, you really feel that heartfelt performance come through. And the rest of the cast here is great as well. Kevin Bacon as a villain, I mean, come on, you can't beat that. Elijah Wood is hilariously fun in this all across the board. This is just has the makings of a real timeless classic. I think, it's not going to be something up there where you're going to say best of the year for a lot of people, but I think this is going to be one that is so rewatchable.
I agree. I would say this is going to be very rewatchable. Something that I could see myself throwing on a lot more. It's got a lot of good feelings, a lot of good vibes. I know people hate when I say vibes, but it's like it just has that positivity, but also is not afraid to dive into the non-PC culture of certain things and really go into the kind of gross, very, risque kind of old trauma stuff that we, know and love and grew up with. And it's something that I love how it has important messages, but it still knows not to take itself too seriously. It's still got a lot of funny jokes and a lot of really over the top action scenes with a lot of gore and violence. Like you said, there's a scene in this movie, I'll just say it involves an arm. And it's like, there's kind of a big weight up until that point. We haven't seen something so extremely gory up until that moment. And when that hits you, it's a shock. It was literally just one of those moments where I was like, oh, whoa, okay. It's just like, damn, that's a lot. And I really like that. It's full of surprises, man. I mean, like, this is something, again, I was excited for this, but even I had to admit to myself, like, being a fan of the original Toxic Avenger and some of the other sequels and other trauma stuff, I just didn't know how they were going to be able to modernize this and keep that same kind of tone. But the way they twist it, it's almost like they made a Frankenstein's monster of just like the modern superhero film and kind of what we've grown to expect from that origin story, and then putting the Tromaville Toxic Avenger stuff into it. And it is a really strong marriage, surprisingly.
Yeah, they found a really happy equation to. I think they just really created this fun outlet for horror fans to really just turn this on. It'll be real digestible. You can come in and out of this film. I'm excited that this one is getting a theatrical release because, my gosh, going to see this in the theater with a bunch of people just ready to have some fun, like you said, with the arm ripping scene is absolutely great. We got a little, I think it was in the trailer of, him in the diner, and seeing that extended scene
Oh
is
my
so
goodness.
great. There's so many fun one-liners in here. I think there's, I'm going to paraphrase where he says like, give me your lunch or something like that. And, the kind of what we get, the little bit of the punchline there. It was so much fun. They really create Toxie as this real fun character, but also has this seriousness to him. And I think the Peter Dinklage casting was great. There's such
He's
a variation
wonderful.
from, stature wise and everything, where it's like, okay, this is really when you want to modernize and take something to kind of remake it and give it to a modern audience. I think they found every variation that they could do in the best possible way, because this one feels like it stands by itself. Yes, it's a property we're familiar with, but they really made the design their own. They really made the story their own as well, and it really justifies its existence. This is one where I had so much fun with it that I'm hoping we're going to see this property be relevant, and in a few years, and we're going to be doing something. There's so much you can do with this lore, and it's so much fun in the best ways of, you get Darkman vibes and things like that,
Yes, yes.
where we always talk about, hey, films have a great concept, but it never fully kicks it into that fourth gear to say, I absolutely enjoy this and I want to see more of it. Toxic Avenger, absolutely, with the villains and what they established there and what you could even get into further down the line. And you have those classic, Toxic transformation scenes like that tugged at my heartstrings to be like, man, this is some of the stuff I loved growing up as a kid that we don't see enough nowadays. And they really had a handle on the comedy, the story arc, the character design to say, we want to bring this to a modern audience. We want to show you what we loved back in the 80s, early 90s that maybe has lost its way. And this one is going to be so much fun in the theater.
Yeah, my final thoughts, I just want to say Peter Dinklage, this is really probably one of the best performances I've seen him give in a long time. I was not a huge Game of Thrones fan, so I can't speak on that, but like he was just so likable in this, and he brought again that kind of nerdy nature that we were used to from the original, and then bringing that into just the adult setting, like how life bullies you as opposed to just the standard stereotypical jocks, and I thought that was a really smart way to do this. It made it very relatable again, and I thought him and Jacob Tremblay had a really, really touching and very nice relationship throughout the film as father and son, and it's a very unique way to look at it. It's not something that we see all the time. I do want to shout out Macon Blair as somebody we're a big fan of. He works with Jeremy Saulnier a lot, another director we love, but I thought he did an excellent job behind the camera. It's very clear that he loves this universe, and the thing that I will give him the most credit for is that, again, he makes this feel like a universe. He makes it feel like I want to see 5 more movies of Toxie getting new friends and fighting other various creatures. I want to see Poultrygeist come back or something. It's like I want to see Tromaville stay around in this modern setting and get the love and treasure that it deserves. So for me, I think this is an easy high tier recommend. I'm almost at a must see. I do want to see it on the big screen before I cement that, but this is certainly one of those movies that like I went in very hyped and excited for, and I just knew about halfway through I'm like, I'm already so satisfied. This is all just a win after this point. So I really have to give them all the props in the world for actually being able to modernize Toxic Avenger for what I think will be good for Trauma fans and for new fans of this genre, and just people who love like things like Onyx the Fortuitous and stuff like that. You said Darkman, it all fits.
Yes, this one, it's in every level of everything that I was looking for. We talked about how anticipated this one was, how we tried to get our hands on it several times, and well worth the wait here from a performance standpoint. We talked about what they slash them and not really making use of Kevin Bacon's potential there. And I'd say the Toxic Avenger absolutely doubles down on what, a villainous Kevin Bacon can really be. And I love seeing him every moment on screen. Elijah Wood just plays this off the beaten path, crazy and wild character. You see him, his image in the trailers and stuff, and man, it fits the bill 100%. Peter Dinklage is fantastic. I love the casting. Has some heartfelt moments, but a lot of great action, and absolutely delivers on that gory goodness that we were hoping that this film would do. Some of the CGI doesn't work, I guess would say a little low budget, but it actually does work in the film with its tone, oddly enough. So I think it even added to the charm. I don't know. For me,
I would say so. I'd agree.
That's where it's like every level of this worked for me. So I was excited for this one. A lot of anticipation. This one falls in line where I talked about Frogman. Was it last year or the year before? Where it's on the take and what you can do with it. Bringing this one from its property into 2025, it's a must-see for me. You got to go to the theater. Yeah. You got to show the fuck up for this one. They really put a creative stamp on this. They justified its existence. It's not going to be the absolute best film of 2025, but it's so much fun. You got to give the creators behind this props, because all across the board, this thing works.
Absolutely. Alrighty, guys, that's going to wrap it up here for our review of Toxic Avenger. Definitely, if you're new to the channel, we appreciate you stopping by. We hope that you'll hit that subscribe button and stick with us. We are always reviewing new horror stuff as well as some unseen horror gems, as long as we're also putting out lists and things like that every week. So lots of horror things, lots of toxic stuff that will be talked about as we go along with this. And yeah, that's, I think, everything we have to say. So until next time, I'm Dylan Newell.
And I'm Luke Janesco.
And remember, stay scared.
Do the horror shit, gonna do it live. Cause Splattercast kick it every day they live. Splattercast, gonna smash your ass. 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 Splattercast, gonna smash your ass.